A man sits in the judgment chair, staring hopelessly at his comrade's screams in the fire. Yet, he can do nothing. Trapped in the judgment chair, he can only remotely command his team to carry out the arrest operation. If you want to understand everything, you first need to know the background of the story. In the future, by 2029, the traditional judicial system collapsed due to the soaring crime rate. Cities plunged into chaos as violent incidents surged. Even with designated controlled zones, the police were unable to suppress the riots. Hundreds of officers died in the line of duty. In an effort to restore order as quickly as possible, the government developed an AI court system, Mercy, entrusting the entire process of criminal trials to artificial intelligence. Thanks to the deterrence of the AI court system, the city's crime rate dropped by 68%. However, just 1 hour ago, the court saw its 19th suspect, Chris. Ironically, Chris, the core developer of the Mercy system, was now being judged by the very AI system he had created.
Christopher Raven, you're before this court today charged with the murder of your wife, Nicole Raven.
The AI judge, Max, accused Chris of allegedly murdering his wife, Nick, and fleeing to avoid arrest. The surveillance footage from before the incident shows Chris staying at home for 26 minutes after an argument with his wife, Nick. It was only half an hour after he left the house that his wife was murdered. Based on the crime scene analysis, the killer's dominant hand is the right hand. Coincidentally, Chris is also right-handed. Furthermore, traces of his wife's blood were found on his clothes, and his fingerprints were found on the murder weapon. As a result, his suspicion level reached 97.5%, a dangerously high number that pointed to a death sentence. However, according to the law, during the trial, Chris could access the cloud database to search for evidence that could prove his innocence. As long as it was related to the case, he could issue commands to Max to retrieve the necessary resources. If he could find evidence within 90 minutes, he could walk away alive. If not, the judgment chair would release a pulse and execute him. After understanding his situation, Chris pulled up all of his daughter's video recordings, but at that moment, he discovered another private account of hers, which contained chat videos between her and her boyfriend. The footage revealed that the night before the incident, his daughter heard some noise and thought her father had come home. She quickly ended the call with her boyfriend, but discovered the house was empty when she went out of her room. Just as Chris was feeling confused, his daughter called him. Before he could explain much, his father-in-law noticed and hung up the phone.
Mr. Raven, this is not progress in your case. I must remind you that the clock is ticking.
They'd only approve Mercy if it looked like people had an opportunity to defend themselves!